What is going on, guys?
Hey, how's it going?
So today I'm going to be bringing you 10 ballads that should have smashed the charts. And but first, before we get there, if you guys like what we're doing here with all the different stuff that we're doing here with the channel, bringing you the unknown and forgotten bands and music, basically, from heavy metal, from the past, present, and future, click the subscribe button. Hang out with us for a little while. Click the like button. But let us get to our first choice here. So our first choice here today is going to be Forever Free from the band Wasp, and that is going to be from the album 1989, The Headless Children. So I believe The Headless Children as an album did do like slightly okay. It was in the top 200 Billboard chart for the first couple weeks of its release. I think it got up to like number 45 or so, but didn't really do too much after that. I don't even know if it got certified at all. And this is basically the last true Wasp album of the original run. And then after a couple years in 1992, Blackie does do the Crimson Idol. And that was kind of more of like a solo project type deal. But yeah, because it doesn't have Chris Holmes or anybody like that. So, but yeah, the Headless Children, though, and Forever Free, just a great ballad here. It Wasp is one of those bands that does have a pretty good ballad catalog. Like I could have picked a couple songs, but I think, like generally speaking, I think this would be the most what people would know, but also at the same time, people kind of forgot about or just unknown that Wasp even does ballads. But I'm sure if you're a Wasp fan, you do know that they do ballads and damn good ballads, though, at the same time. But no, a great guitar solo here in Forever Free. It starts out like the first half of the song is very balladish, and then it does ramp up though. Like I said, with the solo, it's kind of like it, at least with the music video, because it did have a music video for this. The music video is kind of like this couple gets killed on a motorcycle, and like once the solo hits, it's like around that time when the one person lost the other on the motorcycle ride. And it's just really, really intense. Like once it gets to that part, even sometimes emotional. Like when I was younger, I was like, "Oh shit, that hits pretty hard." Like once you kind of figure out what the song is about. And but yeah, no, this is one that Forever Free is one that I can always play. From Wasp. I mean, there's not much from Wasp in the ballad category that I usually skip. Usually, whenever one of them comes on, I let it go. It's all good. So, guys, check out 1989's Forever Free from Wasp. All right, so our next choice here, we have The Scream, and that is going to be the ballad You Are All I Need. So, now this is in 1991, and obviously, for people that do know who John Corabi is or The Scream is, you do know that John Corabi is the frontman for The Scream. And then after this album, he did end up fronting Motley Crue for the 1994 album. But there are basically like two ballads on here. The actual single ballad was "Father, Mother, Son," which is a really good song in its own right. But that is another one though too that is like sometimes like I can't listen to it because it's just way too heavy of a song, very emotional, and not that it's not good that I skip it. It's just like, man, do I want to go through that emotional toll right now? Like, do I want to like actually invest, my thought process into the song? And sometimes it just gets skipped because of that. And but no, you're all I need though. The 11th track on this album out of 12, very good. Even when I first had this album, I always gravitated to that song, that ballad. Really good. I like the at the beginning. John's kind of just sings at first, and then then the rest of the instruments kind of come in. Really good. It's just very catchy. A lot of these ballads here that we're talking about is just catchy too. Like there's nothing really, but they do have a little bit of punch to it. So most of these anyway. There's no real true like just straight acoustic stuff, but there are acoustics in some of the songs. But it's not just solely that though. And but you're all I need. I Very cool. That's always one that I wish I could see live footage of John playing the song. I feel like it would still sound really good today. But I mean, this album though, Let It Scream, absolutely overlooked, forgotten. just unknown, underrated, whatever you want to keyword you want to throw at it. I am fully behind the Scream here at this album. 12 tracks, all good 12 tracks too, but this isn't necessarily a Let It Scream review, so we'll move on. But I might have to do a video on this in the future here. But no, yeah, You Are All I Need. Don't get confused with the Motley Crue You're All I Need, because John Corabi's version totally is way better. It deserves of the title track, and because I was just never a fan of the Motley Crue "You're All I Need." I never got into that ballad. It's okay, but it's not one. It's one that gets skipped more times than not. But nonetheless, check out 1991, The Scream from the album Let It Scream, and the song is "You Are All I Need." Alrighty, so for our next choice, we are going to be going into the more of the modern era for the next couple choices.
Live in the now!
And now some people might know this next choice because I do have the guitar player here on that comes on the channel as a guest, our good buddy Chris Elliott. And this is his band, 86 Bullets. And this is the self-titled from 2022 or from 2020. And the song is Where I Belong. So there's actually a couple songs that I could have chose from their catalog here, but I went with Where I Belong because this is one. Now, if anyone's familiar with like any kind of like Matchbox 20, like the singles like from their first like album or so, this song Where I Belong kind of has that a little bit feel like that, but if it had balls to it, because 86 Bullets, it's more the middle side of things, and obviously Matchbox 20 is just like, college bullshit mainstream stuff. But it has a little bit of that feel to it, and I think it works. And I think, Chris has a great solo on this song. Whole band, just even like Eric, is great bass tone throughout the whole album. But, it's just great vocals throughout. And I just really dig Where I Belong. I just like, you know, you really feel the vocals, like the emotion in the vocals here with this song. And I just, this is one I would say out of all the songs on here, I would probably say Where I Belong is the one where I visit the most, actually, and not just because it's a ballad or just whatever. It is one of my favorite songs off this album. And then they also had, I don't know if I would consider it a ballad per se, but they did have a music video for "Begin Your Life Again," and that's a mid tempo type deal. It could have, if you could argue with me, I would debate somebody with that. I wouldn't hate them if they said it's ballad or vice versa. I could see it both ways, but no, Where I Belong though, absolutely great. One that just sometimes out of nowhere when I just have like YouTube on or whatever, I'm just like, oh, let me type this in here. Now it is the demo version that they have on YouTube. So if you guys want to hear the original, I don't know if the original or like the finished version is on YouTube. I'm not 100% sure. I have to check into that. But for some reason, I always go to the demo one, and that one's awesome too. But I think I would prefer the album, the finished version. But guys, check out 86 Bullets and with their 2020 album, Where I Belong. All right, so moving on here to choice number 4, we have, and actually, like, this is actually kind of crazy because they kind of fell off the face of the earth here, and this is going to be Salem's Lot from the album Masculine Morality, and the song is Shattered to Pieces. Now, this came out here in 2018, and I bought it roughly around the time it came out, and Amazon had it, obviously, and I was actually kind of surprised at that because they had this look about them. I'm sure I'll put a picture up too so you can see it better, but they had like, if anyone's familiar with Nitro from the 80s, consider that like they had the same hair like teased up everywhere, and but it's more of like a Lips or Mr. Misery look to them. They have a very horror feel look to them, but it's great. They are not glammy, I would say, as far as sound goes, but there is melodicness to their music, and it's more of a heavier version of the glam side of things. But so with Shattered to Pieces, and the song, they do have a music video for it, and that is pretty much how I found the song, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. It was one of the music videos, but I think it was this music video for the song Shattered to Pieces. Great piano intro, great vocals. Monroe sounds really good on this song. Very heartfelt. And that's what I think for a ballad to thrive, you do need to have that connection or that emotional draw to your voice or to what you're trying to say. And it just helps that. It doubles the value. It just keeps the attention too, and it just makes everything more believable. And that is what you're trying to get across in a ballad, per se. So, well, nonetheless, good solo too. Good solos throughout the whole album. But I thought this band would have done a little bit more. They kind of, like I said, they kind of fell off the face of the earth. But also shout out to Tony because I believe he creeps around on the channel here. He comments once in a while, and it's just really cool because like I never would have thought like I would be talking about Salem's Lot or you know even even talking to anyone from the band like once they fell off the face of the earth. It's like okay, I guess we'll never see these guys again. And it's just cool that he's still around. He's still doing things apparently, and quite interested to see the projects that he's doing, see if anything is similar to this. That'd be awesome. But yeah, guys, check out Shattered to Pieces. Great ballad with a little bit of an edge to it, but still has that slow mid tempo pace to it.
Hey, Justin Adams from Ocean here, and you guys are watching the one and only Krash Kourse Metal Show.
All right, so for our fifth choice, we have here Pride and Glory, which is Zakk Wylde's basically first band. If anyone's unfamiliar with Pride and Glory, but I'm sure most people know Zakk Wylde from Black Label Society and Ozzy, obviously. And then they have the self-titled album, and the song is "Sweet Jesus." Now I gotta say something here. With Zakk Wylde, Zakk Wylde is one of my favorite solo. I like his solo stuff, like under Zakk Wylde, more so than Black Label Society. I'm not the biggest fan of Black Label Society. Like, I can listen to an album or two, but after like one album, I'm like, all right, let me take a break. Because it's just too much of the same. Great solos and everything still in Black Label. Like I like it, but it's just too much going on, too much sonically going on. I think, and I just really prefer the soulfulness of like Zakk's solo stuff, and even like Pride and Glory, and just like the different things that he does on the other stuff here than what he does on Black Label that I just enjoy way more. There's a couple songs on here that could have made the cut. I mean, you could throw literally in all of Zakk Wylde's discography, you could throw a dart and you'll find a great ballad. There's plenty of great ballads in his catalog. But generally speaking, when this comes on, Sweet Jesus, I'm like, let's go. It's one of the it's certainly in the top 3 or 5 for me. Ballads from Zakk Wylde. So, but you know, this week I just decided to choose Sweet Jesus because that's the song I was just feeling more so than the other 4 or 5. So now I will say great solo, but I mean, it's not wild like what you would. It's kind of tame for what Zakk does normally, but it's just great. And also too, I want to point out again the soulfulness in Zakk's voice and just his solo music in general. It's just so soulful. I don't know. It's even like Smokey Robinson, The Temptations would be like, damn, that white boy's got soul. Like it's all like I don't know how to explain it because like I'm a big fan of like The Temptations and like all that old school soul stuff. And like I feel like the like Zakk stuff can fit perfectly in that vibe. Now, obviously, they don't have like guitar solos and shit like that, but I think the the heart of it is there, and just the vibe of Zakk's music is within the same parameters of what you feel and what you get emotionally from, say, like the old school soul stuff. And I just absolutely love it. And Zakk Wylde, like the more stuff he puts out, it's like, damn, it just keeps getting better and better, really. But like Book of Shadows, I think has to be his like the holy grail for Zakk Wylde. But I mean, this Pride and Glory album, really good too. It just has a little bit more heavier songs on it than say Book of Shadows. but still, it's awesome. Like absolutely, he mixes like the because like Road Back Home off of Book of Shadows, another great song. I kind of thought of doing that song, but I feel like Sweet Jesus is a little bit more of a ballad than the Road Back Home. So I that's why I didn't choose that song. But in that song, Road Back Home, just great vocals, soulful vocals. But then at the end, he just gives you this guitar solo that's just like absolutely mind blowing. But like it just gets in your heart, like you feel that shit. So, but I mean, like I said, throw a dart at Zach Wild's ballad catalog because there's like plenty to choose from. There's probably like 20 songs at least to choose from, and just throw a dart and you'll be feeling it with them. You'll feel the emotion. But nonetheless, guys, check out Sweet Jesus from Pride and Glory or Zach Wild, and you will not be disappointed. All right, so we're going to be doing a little bit of a modern power metal. I guess maybe not modern because it's still technically 20 years old now, but it is going to be Dragon Force's Starfire from the album Valley of the Damned. Now, I would say people that do follow Skid Row do kind of know that all the revolving singers that they had the past 20 years. And the singer of Dragon Force, ZP, he fronted Skid Row for a couple years there in like the early 2010s, I believe it was, if I'm not mistaken. Whenever he ended up leaving Dragon Force around 2010, so that would make sense. It was like mid to early 2010s when he was fronting Skid Row there. And great vocalist, ZP, but it just did not work with Skid Row, as we all, you know, kind of notice with a lot of different singers. It just doesn't work out, just doesn't mix right, just doesn't sound right, I guess. And, but nonetheless, there's ZP on Dragon Force, absolutely awesome. And nonetheless, Starfire has a great piano intro and just throughout the song, too. But you got pretty much, I think it's almost 6 minutes long. And it's just absolutely great. Great soaring vocals because, you know, ZP isn't one that I generally think of first when I'm thinking, oh, like soaring vocals. ZP isn't the one I usually think of when I think of soaring vocals. So, but he does give you that on this on this song here, and it's just very cool, very fitting. It's just really, really good. Uplifting ballad, if you will. It's not so much of a depressive ballad or emotional ballad in negative sense, but certainly, same thing with power metal. Most of the time, it is very uplifting. Same with like hair metal and glam metal. Just generally speaking, but before 1991, it was more of a upbeat, feel good type style of things or of songs, and Starfire is one of those ballads. I would say probably one of the most feel good ballads on this list. But Dragon Force has great guitar duo, great guitar work throughout the song too. I really enjoy the piano mixed with ZP's voice. I think that's the seller there, and I just think that this song certainly gets overlooked. I think even for Dragon Force fans, a lot of people tend to gravitate towards a couple other songs, but I think this is one that even the title track on here, Valley of the Damned, I think that's a underrated track from Dragon Force as well. And Starfire, the ballad here is no different. So, yeah, guys, check that out if you guys want a little bit of a different pace, because it still has that mid tempo, slower, melodic feel to it. Okay, so what we got here next is, I believe, the second album from Ugly Kid Joe, and that is Menace to Sobriety. And the song is Cloudy Skies. So here in 1995, we have 1995 is a very different time in music and metal as well. And nonetheless, with Ugly Kid Joe, because this album sounds a little bit different from their America's Least Wanted. And now that's a great album. That's a very fine album. Now, album is actually decent. There are some good songs on here, including Cloudy Skies. I could have even chose the final track on this album, the Candle song. That comes in at shade under 3 minutes long, but Cloudy Skies is double that in time, so I thought it was just a little bit of a better song to choose. Both of them are pretty much very similar. Like I feel like the brother and sister song, you know, because sometimes when it comes on, I'm like, oh, is this Cloudy Skies or is this, you know, the Candle song? But I would say both are great in their own right. Absolutely love both of them. Well, with Cloudy Skies, another heartfelt vocal performance here. Nothing special though. Nothing like high soaring or anything, but just, you know, your ugly kid Joe vocal. And it's just absolutely great. Stripped down basically style vocal on this song. Just very kind of low, if you will. But I just cannot talk enough about. I feel like this album now, yes, this album does sometimes sound like 1995. I'll give you that. But like I said, there's some songs on here that would fit right in with their first album from 1992. And it's just absolutely awesome. So yeah, Candle song. I'll give you a bonus one here. Candle song to listen to along with Cloudy Skies. Can't say enough about both of those songs. Very good, worth checking out, especially if you're into Ugly Kid Joe or liked anything off that first album. I think these two songs will be right up your alley if you enjoyed anything off the first album. All right, so we're moving here to 1993, and that is Every Mother's Nightmare from the album Wake Up Screaming, and the song is I Needed You. All right, so this is another song that is the second to last song on the album, and that's a shame because like this needs to be somewhat upfront, like in the first half of the album, because it's just a ripper. Like as as far as ballads go, like it's a ballad, it's slower to mid tempo, but it packs a pretty good punch. I mean, you know, like right from the start, there's like guitar work happening, great like riffs, a little bit of a solo style feel, but man, like vocals are great. What you expect from Every Mother's Nightmare, and like this album, I think is way overlooked. I think their debut album's overlooked as well, but I think this one is even more overlooked just because of the year 1993 and a little bit does slightly have a darker tone, not necessarily a grunge tone, but it's just a darker tone. I mean, obviously, as you can see from the cover, you know, this is what it kind of sounds like, you know, for this like the dark colors and, you know, the snakes around the baby. You know, it just has that feel of just lower vibe. But generally speaking, though, throughout the album, I mean, it's not depressive at the same time. It still has very good stuff on here. But as far as I Needed You, though, great. You know, the vocals I think are produced really well on the song, and guitar work throughout the song is really good. Good solos too. I have good backing vocals too. I just think this song gets overlooked. Certainly, the album gets overlooked. But as far as like ballads go, you know, everyone talks about Love Can Make You Blind. And that's a good song, no doubt. But if I had to choose between I Needed You and Love Can Make You Blind, I don't think there's really too much to talk about. I think we're going to I Needed You, no doubt, because of the guitar work alone. The vocals are so much better, I think, in my opinion. And I just there's more feeling in I Needed You. Like I believe, you know, when he's singing that, and I believe what he's saying compared to, you know, Love Can Make You Blind. Nothing against Love Can Make You Blind because I like that song too. But, you know, when you're comparing the two, I think you have to go with I Needed You. So that is going to be our choice here, guys, from 1993's Every Mother's Nightmare. I Needed You. All right, so the next one, we have two more here. The next one is going to be kind of interesting. I'm not sure a lot of people would had guessed that I would gonna choose this song, but it is going to be "Abortion" from Kid Rock and his album "The History of Rock."
What is going on?
Whatever you would say, want to say about Kid Rock, those first four albums, man, I dig. I like those albums. Now it could be because like this came out in 2000. I was pretty young, like, and just the music seemed dangerous when you were like 8 years old. It was on WWF, you know, like American Badass, like The Undertaker had his song American Badass. And it was just awesome at the time. And I mean, I can still listen to these albums, though, like the first four. Now, when I say first four, I'm not necessarily talking about the rap album from the early 90s I did. I do have that over here, but I haven't listened to it for years. I do need to revisit it just to see if there is anything on there that I just kind of like overlooked. But generally speaking, though, Kid Rock, he did do morph into more of a little bit of the new metal on, you know, for Devil Without a Cause. But then when he gets here, you kind of get a little bit of a more bluesy feel, more of a rock feel, heavy metal feel. And in 2000, here we are with a ballad. So, and I think it's a great ballad. Yeah, it's more along the lines of drugs related, more so than I would say love. But man, it's great guitar tone too on this song and even the album too. And that's another thing. Like, I don't know who the guitar player is for Kid Rock on these first couple albums, but the tone is there. I think he kind of gets overlooked in some guitar tone. And just, I mean, it's nothing flashy, nothing, you know, their solo is going to blow you away. But I think it works for what these songs are and what they're trying to do. I think it works. But I whenever this song comes on, like right from the start, there's that guitar slide. He slides down the neck, and it's like, oh fuck, this song is on. Like, God, it's just it's super good and super heartfelt too. Like when Kid Rock's singing, you're like, fuck yeah, okay, I know, I feel with you, man. That kind of deal. And but no, Abortion though, absolutely a great song, great ballad. And I mean, it's like I said, I don't know if this is my favorite Kid Rock album, but it's up there. I mean, I do dig it a lot, and this is one of the reasons why it's up there is because of this great ballad, Abortion. So if you haven't heard anything from Kid Rock for a while or anything off that album, give that song a chance, especially if you're into ballad style of song. So give it a shot. Let me know what you guys think. All right, so this one here might be the most well known of the songs that I gave you guys here today, but I don't know if the song charted. I couldn't find anything on it. The album did go platinum, and that is going to be In the Heart of the Young uh, from Winger. And the song is Miles Away.
Hell yes.
Now, this song here is like when I was in high school, I had this album, 2010 ish. And a couple of my buddies would listen to a couple of these albums, like Cinderella, Poison, stuff like that. And one of my buddies was like, "Oh man, you know that song Miles Away from Where?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah, I do. I mean, that's an awesome song." And like even to this day, when we talk and hang out, like we talk about Miles Away, and even when we're in the hallways at school, we were like Miles Away, like shit like that, like that kind of stuff, like always stick with you. And I mean, sure, a song can get overplayed or what have you. But I mean, when you have like some kind of memory like that with a song, it certainly prolongs the hatred of something being overplayed. But I don't think Miles Away is certainly overplayed. I mean, on say Hair Nation or whatever, I rarely hear that song on there. And there's certainly other ballads that do not deserve the credit to be played all the time compared to Miles Away. Miles Away is certainly better than a lot of Winger's ballads. Like Headed for a Heartbreak. That song has grown on me over time, but Miles Away, I'll take that still even to this day over, Headed for a Heartbreak. I think Miles Away, even for 1990, is a top 10 ballad for 1992. And I think certainly it's one that gets slept on a little bit, especially from Winger. Like, because everyone talks about the same three songs from Winger, 17, Magdalene, and what, Can't Get Enough, maybe, or Headed for a Heartbreak. And, it's just, I think Miles Away is certainly one that is kind of untapped potential when you're talking to Winger fans or just 80s hair metal fans as well, or just a ballad fan in general. And I think that's just an untapped song with untapped potential for those fans. Great solo, but I mean, what do you expect from Red Beach? It's just great musicianship all the way around from Winger, and that's, I mean, what we come to love and expect from Winger. So All me saying all that will be beating a dead horse. So, guys, check out Miles Away if you guys are a fan of Winger ballads, especially from like that style in 1990. Absolutely great. And they had a music video for it too. So check out the music video. And I just, like I said, the album did go platinum, but I just don't ever hear anyone talk. This was the third single. Miles Away was the third and final single from this album. So I don't know if it just wasn't pushed as much. I don't know. I don't get why Miles Away isn't bigger than, especially in the Winger atmosphere of the world. And I don't know. Maybe you guys can help me answer that one too. But all right, guys, that it wraps up our 10 ballads. Thank you for watching part 3 here. And let me know some ballads that you guys think is unknown and forgotten in the metal world in general, just the metal world in general.
Talk to me.
If you guys like what we're doing here, click the subscribe button. Hang out with us for a little while. We'd love to have you here. And until next time, guys, stay out of that collateral damage. And if you guys enjoyed this video, check out part 2 right here.
Yeah, I wrote that. It's called I Want to Rock Your Body. And then in parentheses it says to the break of dawn.